Welcome. Call to order this meeting of the Bossier Parish School Board. We're going to start out by asking Mr. Wiggins if he will say the prayer, followed by Mr. Dean if he will say the pledge. But first, let's see. Downey outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. We will get back to prayer request and superintendent's comments at the conclusion of this. So we would like to start with Mr. Wiggins with the prayer and followed by Mr. Dean with the pledge.
Let's all bow our heads. Lord, thank you for another day of life, health, and strength. Thank you for this wonderful country we live in, this beautiful parish, and all the people that live therein. Bless us, keep us in thy will. Let us do things that are blessed and that are in the interest of our children and our community. Make our decisions be the right ones in the holy divine name. Touch those who are sick and in need, those that have problems that you need to solve, that you can solve. Bless us all in thy Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item 1.02, approval of the minutes of the regular session of the board for February 3rd, 2022.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Wiggins, a second by Mr. Bullard. Please cast your vote. Item 1.03, approval of the agenda for the regular session of the board for February 17th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Darby.
Second.
Second by Mr. Newman. Please vote. Motion passes. Agenda item 2.01, recognition, BPS Good News, presented by Sonia Bales, Public Relations Liaison.
Good evening, President Bass, Superintendent Downey, to all of our board members and everyone here this evening. You know, we have so much to be proud of and to celebrate as a Bossier Schools family. Tonight we are going to be recognizing several students and staff for shining bright. Let's first of all begin with the winners of this year's Optimist Essay Contest. Would Ian Knudsen and Annalie Rawl please join me at the podium? I'd also like to ask that Miss Betty McCauley join me as well. She is representing the Optimist Club this evening. You know, each year the Optimist Club holds a student essay contest, and this year's topic was, how does an optimistic mindset change my tomorrow? Well, there were 23 entries in all, and we are so proud to announce the winners. First of all, Annalie Rawl here, who is a 7th grader at Cope Middle School in the parish, and Ian Knudsen here, who is a freshman at Benton High School, is our first place winner. Let's give them a big round of applause. Big deal, because it also comes with cash, courtesy of the Optimist Club of Bossier City. Ms. McCauley, who is our Director of Student Services, is also a member of the Optimist Club, and she's here to present those checks and certificates to Ian and Annalie. Ms. McCauley?
And Annalia,
It is my distinct pleasure to present your check from the Bossier Optimist Club for $200. Congratulations.
Get the two of you and all three of you together for a picture in front of the podium.
Ms. McCauley, will you please just hold? You got some moms that really want to get some pictures, so I just want to make sure that we make sure they get them.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, with good reason. And Annalee and Ian, before you run off, if you'll come right back here, sorry. My privilege to award both of you with Award of Excellence medals that are given to you on behalf of not only Bossier Schools, but also our sponsor, Caldwell Banker Gosley, for winning the day, every student, every way, for showing passion and perseverance and excellence in everything that you do. $300 and $200, that is not bad, just saying. Congratulations. We are so proud, and keep that optimistic mindset. Let's give them another big round of applause. Congratulations. We are also thrilled to recognize another Benton High School student for a big achievement. Zach Cryer, would you please come forward? I'll ask Jenny Sankovic to come up with him too. So Zach is and wow, talk about a really special birthday this past Monday. So it was his birthday. It was also, of course, Valentine's Day. And then he had a surprise committee walk into class to tell him that it's chosen statewide to represent Louisiana as a 4-H national conference delegate for the next 2 years. That is huge. So what does that mean in the grand scheme of things, right? So for starters, well, Zach is going to be traveling to our nation's capital next month, along with our Bossier Parish 4-H Extension Agent, Jenny Sankovic, for the National 4-H Conference and representing Louisiana. So that's exciting. And let me just say that this is considered the pinnacle experience in 4-H civic engagement because it gives Zach and fellow 4-Hers from all around the nation the chance to connect with each other and to develop ideas to be change agents for our country and for our community. Now, Zach is also going to be given the opportunity to learn about social causes that impact our state of Louisiana and how to advocate for the 4-H program as well as community causes that he cares personally about. So we are so very proud, and we know that Zach will represent not only Bossier Parish, but the state of Louisiana capably and brilliantly. And in acknowledgement of this achievement, it's my privilege to also award Zach with this Award of Excellence medallion, again on behalf of Bossier Schools and our sponsor, Caldwell Banker Gosley. Congratulations, Zach. And in case Ian Knutson and Zach Cryer are very familiar to our school board members, that's because they are both former Parish Students of the Year, so they just continue to achieve at great heights. So congratulations again. So two members of the Bossier Schools family were also honored earlier this month at the Bossier Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. So we want to give a huge shout out, first of all, to Parkway High School junior Brianna Cooley, who received the Chamber's Out of the Box Award for amassing 4,000 volunteer hours. Brianna's favorite project was when she gathered holiday cards for every airman in basic training, and she's especially proud that many of those cards came right here from within our Bossier Schools family. And please also join me in congratulating our own Parish School Board President, Adam Bass, for being one of the nominees for the Bossier Chamber Business Person of the Year for 2021. So let's give him a big round of applause. And he's not going to like being recognized here, but our own superintendent was also honored recently, and we couldn't pass up the chance to share this news with you, as well as the photos. To the North Louisiana Wrestling Hall of Fame by the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission. You know, Mr. Downey wrestled as a student for Parkway High School and then North Texas State University before he began his career coaching wrestling as well as football for Bossier High School and then at Benton High, where he started the Benton High School wrestling team. And a neat side note, fellow recipient Rick Griffin was on the Bossier High School state championship team that was coached none other than by Mr. Downey. So for nearly 4 decades, Superintendent Downey has dedicated his life to being a teacher, a coach, a mentor, and our leader of Bossier schools. Recognition, and now he's probably not going to keep me on as of after tonight. Of him, though. Congratulations, Mr. Downey. And Miss Royer drove him to school, by the way, on the school bus.
Yes, sure did.
We also want to take this opportunity to applaud Bossier School's finance department for being recognized for outstanding fiscal management by the Government Finance Officers Association. And at this time, I would like to ask that Nisha Bamberg, our Chief Financial Officer, and her team please come forward so we can recognize them. They are. You know, there are so many people behind the scenes that you never see, but they are integral to the operations of the Bossier Parish School Board. And recently, the district received word that the Bossier Parish School Board earned the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting for its annual comprehensive financial report. That makes 29 consecutive years that the Finance Department has been awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And I think that they deserve a lot of recognition and love for that. I've asked Ms. Bamberg if she would come tonight and if she would introduce to you our Finance Department team.
My accountants are so happy to be out in front of everyone tonight. So I do want to thank those that were able to be here tonight. This is Amber Thompson. She is one of our grant accountants. Jessica Williams is also one of ours. She was not able to be here tonight. She had a sick baby. This is Michael Dabbs. He does a lot of our construction accounting and various other things. This is Brenda LaShin. She is the chief accountant for the district, and my right hand. This is Shannon Gray. She is our payroll accountant. We also have our internal auditor, Gil Beck, as well as our banking accountant, Suzanne Lee. So I may be the one that stands out front a lot more, but this is my day-to-day crew. This is the one that runs it every day. And so I'm so thankful for my team and all of their hard work. So thank you.
Can we get a picture of the team? Congratulations again. Let's give them another big round of applause. If you were here for our town hall meeting an hour earlier, you would have heard in our presentation, because of the strong fiscal management exhibited by our school board and led by our finance department, they have literally saved taxpayers millions of dollars over the years. And we had mentioned that just recently, a series of 2012 and 2013 bonds were refinanced, and it's going to mean a savings of nearly $2 million to the taxpayers of Bossier Parish because of the high bond rating that we've been able to secure. Bossier Parish Schools actually has one of the highest bond ratings in the state of Louisiana among all school boards. So again, kudos to them. That's big. Finally, how is to honor an outstanding educator who just 3 years ago took the reins as the principal of Bossier Elementary. Dr. Norcia Lacey was eager to prove herself as a new leader, and her faculty will tell you she has definitely done that. Helen Rose calls her a visionary that not only sees, but puts that vision into action. She's not just a principal by title. She exemplifies being a leader in her everyday actions. Dr. Lacey is credited with changing the climate and the culture of Bossier Elementary, for connecting with parents, creating an environment where every teacher feels supported, and for fostering student growth while under her leadership. In fact, Bossier Elementary's simulated school performance score grew by almost 8 points last year. That is significant. Dr. Lacey draws upbringing of living in a single-parent household and being encouraged and motivated by her mother to want more out of life and to not settle for being a product of her environment. And she recognized that education was the way out. And Dr. Lacey went into education to offer that same hope for future generations. And she is doing that today at Bossier Elementary. So it was only fitting on Valentine's Day, the faculty and the students all came together and they orchestrated a big surprise in the gym to show Dr. Lacey the love, complete with roses, handmade hearts and cards, and the announcement that she is Bossier School's Gold Star winner for the month of February. Would you please help me congratulate Shining Star, Dr. Time from Bossier Federal Credit Union are here with us tonight. They sponsor our Gold Star Award, and so Ms. Eckendall has a special presentation for Dr. Lacey.
We do a lot of these, well, quite a few of these every year, and they just keep getting more and more special. And I will say, I'm about to tear up talking about it. The other day, those students at that school showed just how much they love Dr. Lacey. And just in the few minutes that we were there, we felt the impact that she makes on her students, the faculty, and the staff at Bossier Elementary. And so on behalf of Bossier Federal Credit Union, Dr. Lacey, we want to say congratulations on being our February 2022 Gold Star Award winner.
Before you go, we also want to award you with the Award of Excellence Medal, because, my goodness, you embody passion, perseverance, and pride in everything that you do. And what a testament. Your faculty and your staff came out tonight, and the way that they showed you love, and they're the ones who submitted all the nominations for you to win the Gold Star, because you are making a difference. You are a difference maker. And we applaud you and we award you. And we're so proud to be able to say you're our Gold Star.
Thank you so much.
Mention that I asked Dr. Lacey who she gives credit to for her educational journey. And she said that Tanya Hilburn and Andrew Coleman, who were the principal and the assistant principal at Plantation Park Elementary when she was teaching there. She said they were key, and that each of them influenced her in different ways for pushing her beyond the limits that she had even set for herself as a teacher, and coaching her to aspire to becoming a leader, as well as encouraging, motivating, and pushing her to be prepared to walk through any door that was meant for her to walk through. And it is yet another example of schools growing their own, not just for an individual's personal success, but most importantly, for the prosperity of the children that we are privileged to educate in Bossier Parish schools. Congratulations again, Dr. Lacey. That completes my report.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bales. I do want to, can you stand up and read your shirt for me? I love these themes. What does it say?
We don't give up, we level up.
love that. That's great. That does conclude Ms. Bales' report on good news. We are going to go into the business portion of our meeting, so if you came to support someone and don't want to stay for that, you can leave if you choose. All right. Move on to item 3.01, request LUBA workers' compensation renewal presented by Doug Rogers, Risk Pro Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Mr. Downey, board members, it's good to be with you tonight. I thank you for your time, and this is another example of when talking about insurance will clear out a crowd, so I apologize. I'll keep this as brief as possible. On our first item, the workers' compensation, I think you do have a copy of it in front of you. I'll call your attention to page 2. And I just want to make a note, and I don't want to oversell this because the cost of one item is down and the cost of another item is up on my next agenda item. But I wanted to give credit where credit is due. The administration and the staff have really worked very hard to focus on workplace safety and preventing injuries. And of course, number one, that's good for the person who's not injured. Number two, it's good for our students who don't have to have their typical instruction interrupted. And the other thing is, of course, I know we always watch the bottom line. I really believe the partnership between LUBA Workers' Comp and Bossier Parish School Board has been good. We have a good relationship with their loss control representative who is here to help us instead of just trying to make a lot of recommendations to keep us busy. And then lastly, I would compliment LUBA Work Comp on their adjustment of our claims. I think their proactive stance has helped us over time. And so with that, I would just recommend to the board that it accept LUBA's offer for another 1 year of workers' compensation coverage, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Newman, a second by Mr. Wiggins. Any board comment or questions? Mr. Bullard?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rogers, you alluded to the excellent working relationship we have with LUBA.
Yes, sir.
Since they have come on board, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they took over workers' compensation when we got out of the self-funded plan.
Yes, sir.
And it has been excellent. Every bit of feedback I have had, they are very proactive in identifying potential problem areas and working to get them corrected. And they work well with everyone. It's a partnership.
Yes, sir.
And have heard nothing but good feedback on them, and I think that that's reflected in this premium.
Yes, sir. And just for those board members who might not have been here, but back before 2012, the school board had been a qualified self-insurer for many years. And our trends were going in a negative direction, and our premium now is actually half of what our pure losses were back in 2011. And so, obviously, the number of lives we have insured is much larger, and it's just been one of those success stories, and it's taken everybody. I mean, if we didn't buy into it and focus on workplace safety, no matter how good LUBA is at what they're doing, we still would not have a success story that good. So thank you for that, Mr. Bullard.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any more board comment? All right, have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Passes. Item 3.02, request approval of renewal of excess property insurance presented by Doug Rogers, Risk Pros Incorporated.
Thank you, Mr. President. And of course, it's not news that we're in the middle of a significant claim that I expect to exceed $10 million. Our premium is up, and that's anticipated, and it's within the range that we expected. I would like to point out, however, that the same insurer who caught 2 bad claims some consecutive years has continued with us. They're still the ones that are offering our primary $25 million in coverage. They're still taking a big portion of the amount over $100 million. And I don't have to explain to you that sometimes when you have difficult claims, not every insurance company will stay with you. They cut their losses and move on. And this particular insurer, RSUI, has been about as loyal as we could ask them to be at a time when the property insurance market for large portfolios in our state is about as tough as it has been in my career. If we go to page 2, I think the only thing that really bears discussion is a reminder that the reality of our market is we have a 1% wind and hail deductible. The numbers are large, so we insure approximately $420 million worth of buildings, so 1% of that, of course, is $4.2 million. That's our maximum per occurrence exposure. But we have a mechanism in this policy whereas some insurers would just make that your baseline deductible. Well, the way our policy works, and I say our, obviously I'm not RSUI, but the way this policy works is the 1% only actually applies to the value of the buildings damaged. So if we have one building damaged, it's 1% of whatever that value is, subject to our $100,000 deductible. I say that because if you're going to have a percentage wind and hail deductible, this is as friendly as it gets, okay? I hope we get back to a day in Louisiana where we've had some good storm seasons and sanity returns to the market. But along those lines, we look back, going back to 1993. The board has only had 3 policy years during that period where we had claims that exceeded our self-insured retention, and I say that by enough to make a claim. If our past performance is not a promise of what the future will be, but the best decisions that we can make is 2020 is kind of the exception to what our rule has been. If we wanted to be extraordinarily conservative, we could buy a wind and hail deductible buyback policy. You may recall the board decided not to do that last year because it was going to cost us $443,000 to do it. And of course, what we know is an insurance premium guarantees your loss of at least what you paid in insurance. We've been blessed, at least through this date. We've got just a few days left in this policy period, but it was a decision that paid off. You can see under that option, and I think you see it beside item 4, the cost of that has come down to $390,000, but it is still above the range that we would typically want it to be, where you try to do your cost-benefit analysis to try to decide if it's a good buy or not. So while we've made this option available to you, I guess I will look like a genius if I tell you that we shouldn't buy this for now because we will continue to not incur the loss that the premium payment would be guaranteed to be. But there's nothing saying that weather going forward is going to be the same thing as weather from our past. So the board has to understand that if we had another major claim like we did in April of 2020, could we be exposed to self-insured retention of $2 or $3 million? We could be. But when you're paying a guaranteed loss of almost $500,000 each year, you're going to get there one way or the other. So This is an option. I'm not asking you to change course from what you decided last year. And I would mention the same on the terrorism option that we have there. That's for acts that would hopefully never occur, but it's designed to help you with physical damage to facilities if we had a terrorist act. But my number one priority would be the optional coverage with wind and hail buyback, then the terrorism. And so I would tell you that if your risk tolerance is the same as it was last year, we could renew what we have, hope that we don't have a claim. Again, going back to 1993, we should not have a repeat. But I would be less than genuine if I told you I thought that's a lock. My crystal ball is broken. But if we continue where we are, then my recommendation would be to renew the excess property insurance. If you want to get more conservative this year and change our course of risk management, then you have this wind hail deductible buyback. And so I'll be glad to entertain any questions on that.
Make the motion to do the coverage without the optimal.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Smith.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Newman. Any additional questions for Mr. Rogers?
I have one comment, sir.
Yes, sir.
Over the years, I've seen all the rest. And part of the course, Doug Rogers is still the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. And I might be in trouble tonight when I get home. May I have my wife call you and have you recite that one more time? Thank you very much.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Item 3.03, request permission to bid bread, milk, food, frozen, refrigerated, and shelf-stable, ready-to-serve NSLP pizza, cleaning and chemicals, paper, plastics, and trays for one-year bids and produced bi-monthly or as needed. Produced. Presented by Carla Horton, Supervisor of Child Nutrition. I laughed at myself. Thank you, Ms. Horton.
Good evening, President Bass, Superintendent Downey, and members of the board. It's that time of year again, and so I'm just coming to ask permission so we can issue out the solicitations so we can get all of these supplies that we need to feed our Bossier kids next year.
Second.
I had a motion by Mr. Bamberg, second by Ms. Darby. Any questions from the board? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Horton, for continuing to produce good produce.
Thank you.
3.04, request approval of trip requests. Superintendent Downey?
These are in order.
So moved.
Got a motion by Ms. Brotherton. Second by Mr. Bullard. Please cast your vote. Passes. Item 4.01, announcements and superintendent's comments.
Thank you, President Bass. First of all, I'd like to ask you to keep the following people in your prayers. This past week, Benton High School lost, over the last 2 weeks, Benton High School's lost 2 staff members. Virtual teacher Barbara Beck passed away on February 7th from a sudden illness, and their bookkeeper, John Bonog, just passed away 2 days ago from COVID. That's a tremendous strain on a school family, so I would hope that you would continue to keep them in your prayers during the week. TL Rhodes teacher Melissa Kinney also continues cancer treatment, as well as Mary Denman, our retirement specialist. Homeless liaison, migrant liaison Arsenio Anthony has been recently diagnosed with cancer. She had surgery this morning, is doing well and recovering. Our own J.W. Slack school board member is ill at the time with COVID. So please keep those people in your prayers and thoughts as the week goes on. Both schools and centers will be closed Monday for President's Day. Next regular session of the Bossier Parish School Board will be March 3rd, 6 p.m. here at the BIC. LSBA Annual Convention is March 6th through the 8th in Baton Rouge. And tomorrow is our own Keith Norwood's last day at work. So, Mr. Norwood, would you walk to the podium, please? Norwood, probably the most knowledgeable person about the history of the school system around anywhere. He's been a valued member of our school system and a great contributor to construction projects over the last 20 years, 20 some odd years. We want to thank you for your contributions and everything you've done to make this a better system, Mr. Norwood.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I'm still learning how to speak into a microphone. Had some promises and threats, but those of you who need my cell phone number, you still have it.
Congratulations.
Yes, Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Norwood, congratulations on a great career. I know at times we have all asked you a lot of questions in a lot of different ways, but my hat's off to you for always being the consummate professional and for dealing with the board, who at times we can be a little ornery, but you stood your ground well, sir. And I thank you for your time, especially with me here over the years. I'm the only honest one, just saying. But thank you, Keith. Thank you very much for all your service you've provided us.
Just wondering, over the last 20 years, how many times has Mr. Newman and Superintendent called your name and you had a smile on your face? Normally it's an inquisition, so congratulations. Item 5.01, adjournment of the board. Moved by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Bullard. Please. Okay. Please cast your votes.
He's got the dry cough. Are you? I think he just feels so light. He's taking a little bit of but the one positive